Stop explaining yourself to everyone. A story that will change you forever. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're explaining your every move, your every decision, and your every word to people who don't really understand you? It's exhausting, isn't it? You say one thing and someone asks, why? Or how? Or what do you mean by that? Suddenly, you feel like you're walking around with a giant explanation label on your forehead. You feel pressured to justify your every action, and after a while, it starts to feel like you're not even living your own life anymore. We've all been there at some point, over-explaining to avoid judgment, or worse, to seek validation. But what if I told you that the key to true freedom, peace, and confidence is stopping the need to explain yourself to everyone? Let me tell you a story. The story of Sarah. Sarah was a talented artist, and she had a passion for painting, but she lived in a world full of people who didn't understand her art. Her friends would ask, why do you use so much blue in your paintings? Or what does this painting really mean? Sarah, feeling insecure, would spend hours explaining the layers of her work, the meaning behind each stroke, and the symbolism behind the color choices. The more she explained, the more she began to doubt herself. She'd start to wonder, am I doing this right? Do they understand my vision? Maybe they're right. Maybe I should paint more realistically, like they said. One day, she was sitting at a coffee shop sketching in her notebook when an elderly woman approached her. The woman glanced at her notebook and smiled. "That's beautiful," she said. Sarah, feeling the need to explain herself, said, "Well, it's just a sketch. I'm still working on it. I know the proportions are off and the shading needs work, but..." The woman cut her off gently. "You don't have to explain it to me. I see it for what it is. It's beautiful because it's yours. It speaks to me." Sarah paused. She'd never had anyone respond like that before. She realized something in that moment. She didn't owe anyone an explanation for her art. She didn't owe anyone a reason for creating what she created, for using the color she chose, or for expressing herself in the way she did. For the first time, Sarah stopped. She stopped explaining herself. She stopped trying to fit into other people's expectations. She stopped needing their approval to feel good about her own work. And that was the day she started truly embracing her art, just as it was. What can we learn from Sarah's story? The truth is, we all do this in our lives. We spend so much time explaining ourselves, justifying our decisions, trying to make others understand our every choice. We explain why we're taking a particular path in life, why we decided to pursue a career, or why we chose to spend time with certain people. But in the end, who are we doing it for? Are we doing it for them? Or are we afraid to stand in our truth? Here's the harsh reality. You don't owe anyone an explanation for being yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your decisions, your choices, or your goals. You are allowed to be who you are without seeking permission from others. You're allowed to be different, to be misunderstood, and to live your life in a way that makes sense to you. In fact, the more you explain yourself, the more you dilute your own truth. You start bending yourself to fit other people's expectations, and in doing so, you lose sight of what you want and who you are. You are not responsible for how others perceive you. You can't control their opinions, and trying to do so is a never-ending, exhausting game. But you can control how you choose to show up in the world. You can choose to be unapologetically you without needing to explain why. The power of saying nothing. There's incredible power in silence, in not feeling the need to justify your existence. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your energy and focus. You stop wasting time defending yourself and start living authentically. If someone questions you or criticizes you, remember this. Their opinion is theirs to hold, not yours to carry. You don't need to convince them of your worth. You don't need to justify your decisions to anyone. The only person you need to explain yourself to is yourself, and even then, you don't owe yourself an endless monologue. The next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, take a deep breath and pause. Remind yourself that your choices are valid, even if others don't understand them. And if someone really needs an explanation, it's okay to simply say, "This is what works for me," and move on. A final thought. Remember, you are enough. You don't need to apologize for who you are, what you believe, or the path you've chosen. Stop explaining yourself because those who matter don't need an explanation, and those who don't matter don't deserve one. The moment you stop explaining yourself to others, you begin to live freely, authentically, and with the confidence to follow your own path. No explanations necessary.